Chapter 1 URAGAVAGGA URAGASUTTA. He who restrains his anger when it has arisen, as they by medicines restrain the poison of the snake spreading in the body, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He who has cut off passion entirely, as they cut off the lotus flower growing in a lake, after diving into the water, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He who has cut off desire entirely, the flowing, the quickly running, after drying it up, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He who has destroyed arrogance entirely, as the flood destroys a very frail bridge of reeds, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He who has not found any essence in the existences, like one that looks for flowers on fig trees, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He in whose breast there are no feelings of anger, who has thus overcome reiterated existence, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He whose doubts are scattered, cut off entirely inwardly, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He who did not go too fast forward, nor was left behind, who overcame all this world of delusion, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He who did not go too fast forward, nor was left behind, having seen that all this in the world is false, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He who did not go too fast forward, nor was left behind, being free from covetousness, seeing that all this is false, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He who did not go too fast forward, nor was left behind, being free from passion, seeing that all this is false, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He who did not go too fast forward, nor was left behind, being free from hatred, seeing that all this is false, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He who did not go too fast forward, nor was left behind, being free from folly, seeing that all this is false, that bhikkha leaves his and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He to whom there are no affections whatsoever, whose sins are extirpated from the root, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He to whom there are no sins whatsoever originating in fear, which are the causes of coming back to this shore, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He to whom there are no sins whatsoever originating in desire, which are the causes of binding men to existence, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. He who, having left the 5 obstacles, is free from suffering, has overcome doubt, and is without pain, that bhikkha leaves this and the further shore, as a snake quits its old worn-out skin. DHANIYASUTTA. I have boiled my rice, I have milked my cows. So said the herdsman Dhaniya, I am living together with my fellows near the banks of the Mahi river. My house is covered, the fire is kindled. Therefore, if thou like, reign, O sky. I am free from anger, free from stubbornness. So said Bhagavat, I am abiding for one night near the banks of the Mahi river. My house is uncovered, the fire of passions is extinguished. Therefore, if thou like, reign, O sky. Gadflies are not to be found with me. So said the herdsman Dhaniya, in meadows abounding with grass the cows are roaming, and they can endure rain when it comes. Therefore, if thou like, reign, O sky. By me is made a well-constructed raft. So said Bhagavat, I have passed over to Nibbana. I have reached the further bank. Having overcome the torrent of passions, there is no further use for a raft. Therefore, if thou like, reign, O sky. My wife is obedient, not wanton. So said the herdsman Dhaniya, for a long time she has been living together with me. She is winning, and I hear nothing wicked of her. Therefore, if thou like, reign, O sky. My mind is obedient, delivered from all worldliness. So said Bhagavat, it has for a long time been highly cultivated and well subdued. There is no longer anything wicked in me. Therefore, if thou like, reign, O sky. I support myself by my own earnings. So said the herdsman Dhaniya, and my children are all about me, healthy. I hear nothing wicked of them. Therefore, if thou like, reign, O sky. I am no one's servant. So said Bhagavat, with what I have gained I wander about in all the world. There is no need for me to serve. Therefore, if thou like, reign, O sky. I have cows, I have calves. So said the herdsman Dhaniya, I have cows in calf and heifers, and I have also a bull as lord over the cows. Therefore, if thou like, reign, O sky. I have no cows, I have no calves. So said Bhagavat, I have no cows in calf and no heifers, and I have no bull as a lord over the cows. Therefore, if thou like, reign, O sky. The stakes are driven in, and cannot be shaken. So said the herdsman Dhaniya, the ropes are made of munga grass, new and well made. The cows will not be able to break them. Therefore, if thou like, reign, O sky. Having, like a bull, rent the bonds, having, like an elephant, broken through the Galuki creeper, I shall not again enter into a womb. Therefore, if thou like, reign, O sky. Then at once a shower poured down, filling both sea and land. Hearing the sky raining, Dhaniya spoke thus, no small gain indeed has accrued to us since we have seen Bhagavat. We take refuge in thee, O thou who art endowed with the eye of wisdom. Be thou our master, O great wise. Both my wife and myself are obedient. If we lead a holy life before Sugata, we shall conquer birth and death, and put an end to pain. He who has sons has delight in sons. So said the wicked Mara, he who has cows has delight likewise in cows. For upadi, substance, is the delight of man, but he who has no upadi has no delight. He who has sons has care with, his sons. So said Bhagavat, he who has cows has likewise care with his cows. For upadhi is the cause of people's cares, but he who has no upadhi has no care. KHAGGA VISÂNASUTTA. Family life and intercourse with others should be avoided, for society has all vices in its train. Therefore one should leave the corrupted state of society and lead a solitary life. 1. Having laid aside the rod against all beings, and not hurting any of them, let no one wish for a son, much less for a companion. Let him wander alone like a rhinoceros. In him who has intercourse with others, affections arise, and then the pain which follows affection. Considering the misery that originates in affection, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. He who has compassion on his friends and confidential companions loses his own advantage, having a fetid mind. Seeing this danger in friendship, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Just as a large bamboo tree, with its branches entangled in each other, such is the care one has with children and wife. But, like the shoot of a bamboo not clinging to anything, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. As a beast unbound in the forest goes feeding at pleasure, so let the wise man, considering only his own wool, wander alone like a rhinoceros. There is a constant calling in the midst of company, both when sitting, standing, walking, and going away. But let one, looking only for freedom from desire and for following his own will, wander alone like a rhinoceros. There is sport and amusement in the midst of company, and for children there is great affection. Although disliking separation from his dear friends, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. He who is at home in all the four regions and is not hostile to anyone, being content with this or that, overcoming all dangers fearlessly, let him wander alone like a rhinoceros. Discontented are some ascetics, also some householders dwelling in houses. Let one, caring little about other people's children, wander alone like a rhinoceros. Removing the marks of a householder like a kovilara tree whose leaves are fallen, let one, after cutting off heroically the ties of a householder, wander alone like a rhinoceros. If one acquires a clever companion, an associate righteous and wise, let him, overcoming all dangers, wander about with him glad and thoughtful. If one does not acquire a clever companion, an associate righteous and wise, then as a king abandoning his conquered kingdom, let him wander alone like a rhinoceros. Surely we ought to praise the good luck of having companions, the best, and such as are our equals ought to be sought for. Not having acquired such friends, let one, enjoying only allowable things, wander alone like a rhinoceros. Seeing bright golden bracelets, well wrought by the goldsmith, striking against each other when there are two on one arm, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Thus, if I join myself with another, I shall swear or scold. Considering this danger in future, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. The sensual pleasures indeed, which are various, sweet, and charming, under their different shapes agitate the mind. Seeing the misery originating in sensual pleasures, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. These pleasures are, to me, calamities, boils, misfortunes, diseases, sharp pains, and dangers. Seeing this danger originating in sensual pleasures, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Both cold and heat, hunger and thirst, wind and a burning sun, and gad flies and snakes, having overcome all these things, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. As the elephant, the strong, the spotted, the large, after leaving the herd walks at pleasure in the forest, even so let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. For him who delights in intercourse with others, even that is inconvenient which tends to temporary deliverance. Reflecting on the words of Buddha, the kinsman of the Adhika family, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. The harshness of the philosophical views I have overcome. I have acquired self-command. I have attained to the way leading to perfection. I am in possession of knowledge, and not to be led by others. So speaking, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Without covetousness, without deceit, without craving, without detraction, having got rid of passions and folly, being free from desire in all the world, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Let one avoid a wicked companion who teaches what is useless and has gone into what is wrong. Let him not cultivate the society of one who is devoted to and lost in sensual pleasures. Let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Let one cultivate the society of a friend who is learned and keeps the Dharma, who is magnanimous and wise, knowing the meaning of things and subduing his doubts. Let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Not adorning himself, not looking out for sport, amusement, and the delight of pleasure in the world. On the contrary, being loath of a life of dressing, speaking the truth, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Having left son and wife, father and mother, wealth and corn, and relatives, the different objects of desire, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. This is a tie. In this there is little happiness, little enjoyment, but more of pain. This is a fishhook. So having understood, let a thoughtful man wander alone like a rhinoceros. Having torn the ties, having broken the net as a fish in the water, being like a fire not returning to the burnt place, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. With downcast eyes, and not prying, with his senses guarded, with his mind protected free from passion, not burning with lust, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Removing the characteristics of a householder, like a paricata tree whose leaves are cut off, clothed in a yellow robe after wandering away from his house, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Not being greedy of sweet things, not being unsteady, not supporting others, going begging from house to house, having a mind which is not fettered to any household, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Having left the 5 obstacles of the mind, having dispelled all sin, being independent, having cut off the sin of desire, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Having thrown behind himself bodily pleasure and pain, and previously mental joy and distress, having acquired equanimity, tranquility, purity, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. strenuous for obtaining the supreme good, that is Nibbana, with a mind free from attachment, not living in idleness, being firm, endowed with bodily and mental strength, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Not abandoning seclusion and meditation, always wandering in accordance with the dharmas, seeing misery in the existences, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Wishing for the destruction of desire, that is Nibbana, being careful, no fool, learned, strenuous, considerate, restrained, energetic, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Like a lion not trembling at noises, like the wind not caught in a net, like a lotus not stained by water, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. As a lion strong by his teeth, after overcoming all animals, wanders victorious as the king of the animals, and haunts distant dwelling places, even so, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Cultivating in due time kindness, equanimity, compassion, deliverance, and rejoicing with others, unobstructed by the whole world, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. Having abandoned both passion and hatred and folly, having rent the ties, not trembling in the loss of life, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. They cultivate the society of others, and serve them for the sake of advantage. Friends without a motive are now difficult to get. Men know their own profit and are impure. Therefore, let one wander alone like a rhinoceros. KASIBHÂRADVÂGA Sutta. The Brahmana, KASIBHÂRADVÂGA, reproaches Gautama with idleness, but the latter convinces him that he, Buddha, also works, and so the Brahmana is converted, and finally becomes a saint. So it was heard by me, at one time, Bhagavat dwelt in Magadha at Dakinagiri, in the Brahmana village, Ekanala. And at that time, the Brahmana KASIBHÂRADVÂGA's 500 ploughs were tied to the yokes in the sowing season. Then Bhagavat, in the morning, having put on his raiment and taken his bowl and robes, went to the place where the Brahmana KASIBHÄRADVAGA's work was going on. At that time, the Brahmana KASIBHÄRADVAGA's distribution of food took place. Then Bhagavat went to the place where the distribution of food took place, and having gone there, he stood apart. The Brahmana KASIBHÄRADVAGA saw Bhagavat standing there to get alms food, and having seen him, he said this to Bhagavat: I, O Samana, both plough and sow, and having ploughed and sown, I eat. Thou also, O Samana, shouldst plough and sow, and having ploughed and sown, thou shouldst eat. I also, O Brahmana, both plough and sow, and having ploughed and sown, I eat, so said Bhagavat. Yet we do not see the yoke, or the plough, or the ploughshare, or the goad, or the oxen of the Venerable Gautama. And then the Venerable Gautama spoke in this way: I also, O Brahmana, both plough and sow, and having ploughed and sown, I eat, so said Bhagavat. Then the Brahmana KASIBHÄRADVAGA addressed Bhagavat in our stanza: Thou professest to be a ploughman, and yet we do not see thy ploughing. Asked about thy ploughing, tell us of it, that we may know thy ploughing. Bhagavat answered: Faith is the seed, penance the rain, understanding my yoke and plough, modesty the pole of the plough, mind the tie, thoughtfulness my ploughshare and goad. I am guarded in respect of the body, I am guarded in respect of speech, temperate in food. I make truth to cut away weeds, tenderness is my deliverance. Exertion is my beast of burden, carrying me. To Nibbana he goes without turning back to the place where having gone one does not grieve. So this ploughing is ploughed, it bears the fruit of immortality. Having ploughed this ploughing one is freed from all pain. Then the Brahmana KASIBHÂRADVＡGGA, having poured rice milk into a golden bowl, offered it to Bhagavat, saying, "Let the Venerable Bhagavat eat of the rice milk." The Venerable is a ploughman, for the Venerable Gautama ploughs a ploughing that bears the fruit of immortality. Bhagavat said, "What is acquired by reciting stanzas is not to be eaten by me. This is, O Brahmana, not the Dharma of those that see rightly." Buddha rejects what is acquired by reciting stanzas. This is the conduct of Buddhas, as long as the Dharma exists. One who is an accomplished great sage, whose passions are destroyed and whose misbehavior has ceased, thou shouldst serve with other food and drink, for this is the field for one who looks for good works. To whom then, O Gautama, shall I give this rice milk? So said KASIBHÂRADVAGGA. I do not see, O Brahmana, in the world, of men, and gods, and Maras, and Brahmins, amongst beings comprising gods and men, and Samanas and Brahmanas, any by whom this rice milk when eaten can be properly digested, with the exception of Tathagata, or a disciple of Tathagata. Therefore, O Brahmana, thou shalt throw this rice milk in a place where there is little grass, or cast it into water with no worms. So said Bhagavat. Then the Brahmana KASIBHÂRADVAGGA threw the rice milk into some water with no worms. Then the rice milk thrown into the water splashed, hissed, smoked in volumes, for as a ploughshare that has got hot during the day when thrown into the water splashes, hisses, and smokes in volumes, even so the rice milk, when thrown into the water splashed, hissed, and smoked in volumes. Then the Brahmana KASIBHÂRADVAGGA, alarmed and terrified, went up to Bhagavat, and after having approached and fallen with his head at Bhagavat's feet, he said this to Bhagavat, "It is excellent, O Venerable Gautama. It is excellent, O Venerable Gautama, as one raises what has been overthrown, or reveals what has been hidden, or tells the way to him who has gone astray, or holds out an oil lamp in the dark that those who have eyes may see the objects, even so by the Venerable Gautama in manifold ways the Dharma has been illustrated. I take refuge in the Venerable Gautama and in the Dharma and in the assembly of bhikkhus. I wish to go forth, I wish to receive the robe and the orders from the Venerable Gautama." So said KASIBHÂRADVAGGA. Then the Brahmana KASIBHÂRADVAGGA received the ordination from Bhagavat, and he received also the robe and the orders, and the Venerable Bharadvagga, having lately received the robe and the orders, leading a solitary, retired, strenuous, ardent, energetic life, lived after having in a short time in this existence by his own understanding ascertained and possessed himself of that highest perfection of a religious life for the sake of which men of good family rightly wander away from their houses to houseless state. Birth had been destroyed, A religious life had been led. What was to be done had been done. There was nothing else to be done for this existence, so he perceived, and the Venerable Bharadvaja became one of the Arahats, saints. Kundasutta. Buddha describes the 4 different kinds of samanas to Kunda, the smith. I ask the wise of great understanding, so said Kunda, the smith, Buddha, the Lord of the Dharma, who is free from desire, the best of bipeds, the most excellent of charioteers, how many kinds of samanas are there in the world? Pray tell me that. There are 4 kinds of samanas, there is not a 5th, O Kunda, so said Bhagavat, these I will reveal to thee, being asked in person. They are Margagenas and Margadasakas, Margagawans and Margadusans. Whom do the Buddhas call a Margajina? So said Kunda, the smith, how is a Margagain unequaled? Being asked, describe to me a Margagawan, and reveal to me a Margadusan. Bhagavat said, he who has overcome doubt, is without pain, delights in Nibbana, is free from greed, a leader of the world of men and gods, such a one the Buddhas call a Margajina, that is, victorious by the way. He who in this world having known the best, that is Nibbana, as the best, expounds and explains here the Dharma, him, the doubt-cutting wise, without desire, the second of the bhikkhus they call a Margadesan, that is, teaching the way. He who lives in the way that has so well been taught in the Dhammapada, and is restrained, attentive, cultivating blameless words, him the third of the bhikshus they call a Margagawan, that is, living in the way. He who although counterfeiting the virtuous is forward, disgraces families, is impudent, deceitful, unrestrained, a babbler, walking in disguise, such a one is a Margadusan, that is, defiling the way. He who has penetrated these 4 samanas, who is a householder, possessed of knowledge, a pupil of the Venerable Ones, wise, having known that they all are such, having seen so, his faith is not lost. For how could he make the undepraved equal to the depraved and the pure equal to the impure? Parabhava-sutta. So it was heard by me, at one time, Bhagavat dwelt at Savatthi, in Jetavana, in the park of Anuttapindika. Then when the night had gone, a certain deity of a beautiful appearance, having illuminated the whole Jetavana, went up to Bhagavat, and having approached and saluted him, he stood apart, and standing apart that deity addressed Bhagavat in stanzas, we ask thee, Gautama, about a man that suffers loss. Having come to ask, Bhagavat, tell us, what is the cause of loss to the losing man? Bhagavat said, the winner is easily known is also the loser. He who loves Dharma is the winner, he who hates Dharma is the loser. Deity said, we know this to be so, this is the first loser. Tell us, the second, O Bhagavat, what is the cause of loss to the losing man? Bhagavat said, wicked men are dear to him. He does not do anything that is dear to the good. He approves of the Dharma of the wicked. That is the cause of loss to the losing man. Deity said, we know this to be so, this is the second loser. Tell us the third, O Bhagavat, what is the cause of loss to the losing man? Bhagavat said, the man who is drowsy, fond of society and without energy, lazy, given to anger, that is the cause of loss to the losing man. Deity said, we know this to be so, this is the third loser. Tell us the fourth, O Bhagavat, what is the cause of loss to the losing man? Bhagavat said, he who being rich does not support mother or father who are old or past their youth, that is the cause of loss to the losing man. Deity said, we know this to be so, this is the fourth loser. Tell us the fifth, O Bhagavat, what is the cause of loss to the losing man? Bhagavat said, he who by falsehood deceives either a brahmana or a samana or any other mendicant, that is the cause of loss to the losing man. Deity said, we know this to be so, this is the fifth loser. Tell us the sixth, O Bhagavat, what is the cause of loss to the losing man? Bhagavat said, the man who is possessed of much property, who has gold and food, and still enjoys alone his sweet things, that is the cause of loss to the losing man. Deity said, we know this to be so, this is the sixth loser. Tell us the seventh, O Bhagavat, what is the cause of loss to the losing man? Bhagavat said, the man who proud of his birth, of his wealth, and of his family, despises his relatives, that is the cause of loss to the losing man. Deity said, we know this to be so, this is the seventh loser. Tell us the eighth, O Bhagavat, what is the cause of loss to the losing man? Bhagavat said, the man who given to women, to strong drink, and to dice, wastes whatever he has gained, that is the cause of loss to the losing man. Deity said, we know this to be so, this is the eighth loser. Tell us the ninth, O Bhagavat, what is the cause of loss to the losing man? Bhagavat said, he who, not satisfied with his own wife, is seen with harlots and the wives of others, that is the cause of loss to the losing man. Deity said, we know this to be so, this is the ninth loser. Tell us the tenth, O Bhagavat, what is the cause of loss to the losing man? Bhagavat said, the man who, past his youth, brings home a woman with breasts like the tambaru fruit, and for jealousy of her cannot sleep, that is the cause of loss to the losing man. Deity said, we know this to be so, this is the 10th loser. Tell us the 11th, O Bhagavat, what is the cause of loss to the losing man? Bhagavat said, he who places in supremacy a woman given to drink and squandering, or a man of the same kind, that is the cause of loss to the losing man. Deity said, we know this to be so, this is the 11th loser. Tell us the 12th, O Bhagavat, what is the cause of loss to the losing man? Bhagavat said, he who has little property, but great desire, is born in a Kshatriya family and wishes for the kingdom in this world, that is the cause of loss to the losing man. Having taken into consideration these losses in the world, the wise, venerable man, who is endowed with insight, cultivates the happy world of the gods. VASALASUTTA. The Brahmana AGGIKABHARADVAGGA is converted by Buddha after hearing his definition of an outcast, illustrated by the story of Matanga, told in the Matanga Gataka. So it was heard by me, at one time, Bhagavat dwelt at Savatthi, in Jetavana, in the park of Anuttapindika. Then Bhagavat, having put on his raiment in the morning, and having taken his bowl and his robes, entered Savatthi for alms. Now at that time in the house of the Brahmana AGGIKABHARADVAGGA the fire was blazing, the offering brought forth. Then Bhagavat, going for alms from house to house in Savatthi, went to the house of the Brahmana AGGIKABHARADVAGGA. The Brahmana AGGIKABHARADVAGGA saw Bhagavat coming at a distance, and seeing him he said this, "Stay there, O shaveling, stay there, O Samanaka, wretched Samana, stay there, O Vasalaka, outcast." This having been said, Bhagavat replied to the Brahmana AGGIKABHARADVAGGA, "Dost thou know, O Brahmana, an outcast, or the things that make an outcast?" "No, O Venerable Gautama, I do not know an outcast, or the things that make an outcast. Let the Venerable Gautama teach me this so well that I may know an outcast, or the things that make an outcast." "Listen then, O Brahmana, attend carefully, I will tell thee." "Even so, O Venerable One," so the Brahmana AGGIKABHARADVAGGA replied to Bhagavat. Then Bhagavat said this, "The man who is angry and bears hatred, who is wicked and hypocritical, who has embraced wrong views, who is deceitful, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever in this world harms living beings, whether once or twice born, and in whom there is no compassion for living beings, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever destroys or lays siege to villages and towns, and is known as an enemy, let one know him as an outcast. Be it in the village or in the wood, whosoever appropriates by theft what is the property of others and what has not been given, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever, having really contracted a debt, runs away when called upon to pay, saying, "There is no debt that I owe thee," let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever for love of a trifle, having killed a man going along the road, takes the trifle, let one know him as an outcast. The man who for his own sake or for that of others or for the sake of wealth speaks falsely when asked as a witness, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever is seen with the wives of relatives or of friends either by force or with their consent, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever being rich does not support mother or father when old and past their youth, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever strikes or by words annoys mother or father, brother, sister, or mother-in-law, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever, being asked about what is good, teaches what is bad and advises another, while concealing something from him, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever, having committed a bad deed, hopes, saying, "Let no one know me as having done it," who is a dissembler, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever, having gone to another's house and partaken of his good food, does not in return honor him when he comes, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever by falsehood deceives either a Brahmana or a Samana or any other mendicant, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever by words annoys either a Brahmana or a Samana when mealtime has come and does not give him anything, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever enveloped in ignorance in this world predicts what is not to take place, coveting a trifle, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever exalts himself and despises others, being mean by his pride, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever is a provoker and is avaricious, has sinful desires, is envious, wicked, shameless, and fearless of sinning, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever reviles Buddha or his disciple, be he a wandering mendicant or a householder, let one know him as an outcast. Whosoever without being a saint, arahant, pretends to be a saint, and is a thief in all the worlds including that of Brahman, he is indeed the lowest outcast. All these who have been described by me to you are indeed called outcasts. Not by birth does one become an outcast, not by birth does one become a Brahmana. By deeds one becomes an outcast, by deeds one becomes a Brahmana. Know ye this in the way that this example of mine shows. There was a Khandala of the Sopaka caste, well known as Matanga. This Matanga reached the highest fame, such as was very difficult to obtain, and many Khatyas and Brahmanas went to serve him. He, having mounted the vehicle of the gods, and entered the high road, that is, free from dust, having abandoned sensual desires, went to the Brahma world. His birth did not prevent him from being reborn in the Brahma world. On the other hand, there are Brahmanas, born in the family of preceptors, friends of the hymns, of the Vedas, but they are continually caught in sinful deeds, and are to be blamed in this world, while in the coming world, hell awaits them. Birth does not save them from hell nor from blame. Therefore, not by birth does one become an outcast, not by birth does one become a Brahmana, by deeds one becomes an outcast, by deeds one becomes a Brahmana. This having been said, the Brahmana Agikabharadvagga answered Bhagavat as follows: Excellent, O Venerable Gautama. Excellent, O Venerable Gautama. As one, O Venerable Gautama, raises what has been overthrown, or reveals what has been hidden, or tells the way to him who has gone astray, or holds out an oil lamp in the dark that those who have eyes may see the objects, even so by the Venerable Gautama in manifold ways the Dharma has been illustrated. I take refuge in the Venerable Gautama and in the Dharma and in the assembly of bhikkhus. Let the Venerable Gautama accept me as a follower, who henceforth for all my life have taken refuge in him. METTASUTTA. A peaceful mind and goodwill towards all beings are praised. Whatever is to be done by one who is skillful in seeking what is good, having attained that tranquil state of Nibbana, let him be able and upright and conscientious and of soft speech, gentle, not proud, and contented and easily supported and having few cares, unburdened and with his senses calmed and wise, not arrogant, without showing greediness when going his round in families. And let him not do anything mean for which others who are wise might reprove him. May all beings be happy and secure, may they be happy-minded. Whatever living beings there are, either feeble or strong, all either long or great, middle-sized, short, small or large, either seen or which are not seen, and which live far or near, either born or seeking birth, may all creatures be happy-minded. Let no one deceive another, let him not despise another in any place, let him not out of anger or resentment wish harm to another. As a mother at the risk of her life watches over her own child, her only child, so also let everyone cultivate a boundless, friendly mind towards all beings. And let him cultivate goodwill towards all the world, a boundless, friendly mind, above and below and across, unobstructed, without hatred, without enmity. Standing, walking or sitting or lying, as long as he be awake, let him devote himself to this mind. This way of living, they say, is the best in this world. He who, not having embraced philosophical views, is virtuous, endowed with perfect vision, after subduing greediness for sensual pleasures, will never again go to a mother's womb. HEMAVATASUTTA. A dialogue between two yakas on the qualities of Buddha. They go to Buddha, and after having their questions answered, they together with 1,000 yakas become the followers of Buddha. Today is the 15th, a fast day. A lovely night has come, so said the yaka Satyagraha, let us go and see the renowned Master Gautama. Is the mind of such a one well disposed towards all beings? So said the yaka Hemavata. Are his thoughts restrained as to things wished for or not wished for? His mind is well disposed towards all beings, the mind of such a one. So said the yaka Satyagraha, and his thoughts are restrained as to things wished for or not wished for. Does he not take what has not been given to him? So said the yaka Hemavata. Is he self-controlled in his behavior to living beings? Is he far from a state of carelessness? Does he not abandon meditation? He does not take what has not been given to him. So said the yaka Satyagraha, and he is self-controlled in his behavior to living beings, and he is far from a state of carelessness. Buddha does not abandon meditation. Does he not speak falsely? So said the yaka Hemavata. Is he not harsh-spoken? Does he not utter slander? Does he not talk nonsense? He does not speak falsely. So said the yaka Satyagraha. He is not harsh-spoken. He does not utter slander. With judgment he utters what is good sense. Is he not given to sensual pleasures? So said the yaka Hemavata. Is his mind undisturbed? Has he overcome folly? Does he see clearly in all things? He is not given to sensual pleasures. So said the yaka Satyagraha, and his mind is undisturbed. He has overcome all folly. Buddha sees clearly in all things. Is he endowed with knowledge? So said the yaka Hemavata. Is his conduct pure? Have his passions been destroyed? Is there no new birth for him? He is endowed with knowledge. So said the yaka Satyagraha, and his conduct is pure. All his passions have been destroyed. There is no new birth for him. The mind of the wise is accomplished in deed and word. Gautama, who is accomplished by his knowledge and conduct, let us go and see. Come, let us Go and see Gautama, who has legs like an antelope, who is thin, who is wise, living on little food, not covetous, the wise who is meditating in the forest. Having gone to him who is a lion amongst those that wander alone and does not look for sensual pleasures, let us ask about the means of deliverance from the snares of death. Let us ask Gautama, the preacher, the expounder, who has penetrated all things, Buddha who has overcome hatred and fear. In what has the world originated? So said the Yaka Hemavata, with what is the world intimate? By what is the world afflicted, after having grasped at what? In 6 the world has originated, O Hemavata, so said Bhagavat, with 6 it is intimate, by 6 the world is afflicted, after having grasped at 6. Hemavata said, what is the grasping by which the world is afflicted? Asked about salvation, tell me how one is released from pain. Bhagavat said, 5 pleasures of sense are said to be in the world, with the pleasure of the mind as the 6th. Having divested oneself of desire for these, one is thus released from pain. This salvation of the world has been told to you truly, this I tell you, thus one is released from pain. Hemavata said, who in this world crosses the stream of existence? Who in this world crosses the sea? Who does not sink into the deep, where there is no footing and no support? Bhagavat said, he who is always endowed with virtue, possessed of understanding, well composed, reflecting within himself, and thoughtful, crosses the stream that is difficult to cross. He who is disgusted with sensual pleasures, who has overcome all bonds and destroyed joy, such a one does not sink into the deep. Hemavata said, he who is endowed with a profound understanding, seeing what is subtle, possessing nothing, not clinging to sensual pleasures, behold him who is in every respect liberated, the great sage, walking in the divine path. He who has got a great name, sees what is subtle, imparts understanding, and does not cling to the abode of sensual pleasures, behold him, the all-knowing, the wise, the great sage, walking in the noble path. A good sight indeed has met us today, a good daybreak, a beautiful rising, for we have seen the perfectly enlightened, who has crossed the stream, and is free from passion. These 1,000 yakas, possessed of supernatural power and of fame, they all take refuge in thee, thou art our incomparable master. We will wander about from village to village, from mountain to mountain, worshipping the perfectly enlightened and the perfection of the Dharma. AudioBook. The Yaka Alavaka first threatens Buddha, then puts some questions to him which Buddha answers, whereupon Alavaka is converted. So it was heard by me, at one time, Bhagavat dwelt at Alavi, in the realm of the Yaka Alavaka. Then the Yaka Alavaka went to the place where Bhagavat dwelt, and having gone there he said this to Bhagavat, come out, O Samana. Yes, O friend. So saying Bhagavat came out. Enter, O Samana. Yes, O friend. So saying Bhagavat entered. A second time the Yaka Alavaka said this to Bhagavat, come out, O Samana. Yes, O friend. So saying Bhagavat came out. Enter, O Samana. Yes, O friend. So saying, Bhagavat entered. A third time the Yaka Alavaka said this, Bhagavat, come out, O Samana. Yes, O friend. So saying, Bhagavat came out. Enter, O Samana. Yes, O friend. So saying, Bhagavat entered. A fourth time the Yaka Alavaka said this to Bhagavat, come out, O Samana. I shall not come out to thee, O friend, do what thou pleasest. I shall ask thee a question, O Samana. If thou canst not answer it, I will either scatter thy thoughts or cleave thy heart, or take thee by thy feet and throw thee over to the other shore of the Ganga. I do not see, O friend, anyone in this world nor in the world of gods, Maras, Brahmins, amongst the beings comprising gods, men, Samanas, and Brahmanas, who can either scatter my thoughts or cleave my heart, or take me by the feet and throw me over to the other shore of the Ganga. However, O friend, ask what thou pleasest. Then the Yaka Alavaka addressed Bhagavat in stanzas. What in this world is the best property for a man? What, being well done, conveys happiness? What is indeed the sweetest of sweet things? How lived do they call life the best? Bhagavat said, faith is in this world the best property for a man. Dharma, well observed, conveys happiness. Truth indeed is the sweetest of things, and that life they call the best which is lived with understanding. Alavaka said, how does one cross the stream of existence? How does one cross the sea? How does one conquer pain? How is one purified? Bhagavat said, by faith one crosses the stream, by zeal the sea, by exertion one conquers pain, by understanding one is purified. Alavaka said, how does one obtain understanding? How does one acquire wealth? How does one obtain fame? How does one bind friends to himself? How does one not grieve passing away from this world to the other? Bhagavat said, he who believes in the Dharma of the Venerable Ones as to the acquisition of Nibbana will obtain understanding from his desire to hear, being zealous and discerning. He who does what is proper, who takes the yoke upon him and exerts himself, will acquire wealth. By truth he will obtain fame, and being charitable he will bind friends to himself. He who is faithful and leads the life of a householder, and possesses the following four dharmas, virtues, truth, justice, firmness, and liberality, such a one indeed does not grieve when passing away. Pray, ask also other Samanas and Brahmanas far and wide, whether there is found in this world anything greater than truth, self-restraint, liberality, and forbearance. Alavaka said, why should I now ask Samanas and Brahmanas far and wide? I now know what is my future good, for my good Buddha came to live at Alavi. Now I know where, that is on whom bestowed, a gift will bear great fruit. I will wander about from village to village, from town to town, worshipping the perfectly enlightened Buddha and the perfection of the Dharma. Vigayasutta. A reflection on the worthlessness of the human body. A follower of Buddha only sees the body as it really is, and consequently goes to Nibbana. If either walking or standing, sitting or lying, anyone contracts, or stretches, his body, then, This is the motion of the body. The body, which is put together with bones and sinews, plastered with membrane and flesh, and covered with skin, is not seen as it really is. It is filled with the intestines, the stomach, the lump of the liver, the abdomen, the heart, the lungs, the kidneys, the spleen. With mucus, saliva, perspiration, lymph, blood, the fluid that lubricates the joints, bile, and fat. Then in 9 streams impurity flows always from it. From the eye excrement, from the ear excrement, mucus from the nose, through the mouth it ejects at one time bile and, at other times, it ejects phlegm, and from all the body comes sweat and dirt. Then its hollow head is filled with the brain. A fool led by ignorance thinks it a fine thing, and when it lies dead, swollen and livid, discarded in the cemetery, relatives do not care for it. Dogs eat it and jackals, wolves and worms, crows and vultures eat it, and what other living creatures there are. The bhikkhu possessed of understanding in this world, having listened to Buddha's words, he certainly knows it, that is the body, thoroughly, for he sees it as it really is. As this living body is, so is that dead one. As this is, so that will be. Let one put away desire for the body, both as to its interior and as to its exterior. Such a bhikkhu who has turned away from desire and attachment, and is possessed of understanding in this world, has already gone to the immortal peace, the unchangeable state of Nibbana. This body, with 2 feet, is cherished, although impure, ill-smelling, filled with various kinds of stench, and trickling here and there. He who with such a body thinks to exalt himself or despises others, what else is this but blindness? Sage Sutta. Definition of a sage. From acquaintanceship arises fear, from house life arises defilement. The houseless state, freedom from acquaintanceship, this is indeed the view of a sage. Whosoever, after cutting down the sin that has arisen, does not let it again take root and does not give way to it while springing up towards him the solitarily wandering they call a sage. Such a great sage has seen the state of peace. Having considered the causes of sin, and killed the seed, let him not give way to desire for it. Such a wise who sees the end of birth and destruction, that is Nibbana, after leaving reasoning behind, does not enter the number of living beings. He who has penetrated all the resting places of the mind, and does not wish for any of them, such a sage indeed, free from covetousness and free from greediness, does not gather up resting places, for he has reached the other shore. The man who has overcome everything, who knows everything, who is possessed of a good understanding, undefiled in all things, Dharma, abandoning everything, liberated in the destruction of desire, Nibbana, him the wise style a wise. The man who has the strength of understanding, is endowed with virtue and holy works, is composed, delights in meditation, is thoughtful, free from ties, free from harshness, and free from passion, him the wise style a sage. The sage that wanders solitarily, the zealous, that is not shaken by blame and praise, like a lion not trembling at noises, like the wind not caught in a net, like a lotus not soiled by water, leading others, not led by others, him the wise style a sage. Whosoever becomes firm as the post in a bathing place, in whom others acknowledge propriety of speech, who is free from passion, and, endowed with well-composed senses, such a one the wise style a sage. Whosoever is firm, like a straight shuttle, and is disgusted with evil actions, reflecting on what is just and unjust, him the wise style a sage. Whosoever is self-restrained and does not do evil, is a young or middle-aged wise, self-subdued, one that should not be provoked, as he does not provoke any, him the wise style a sage. Whosoever, living upon what is given by others, receives a lump of rice from the top, from the middle or from the rest of the vessel, and does not praise the giver, nor speak harsh words, him the wise style a sage. The sage that wanders about abstaining from sexual intercourse, who in his youth is not fettered in any case, is abstaining from the insanity of pride, liberated, him the wise style a sage. The man who, having penetrated the world, sees the highest truth, such a one, after crossing the stream and sea of existence, who has cut off all ties, is independent, free from passion, him indeed the wise style a sage. Two whose mode of life and occupation are quite different, are not equal, a householder maintaining a wife, and an unselfish virtuous man. A householder is intent upon the destruction of other living creatures, being unrestrained, but a sage always protects living creatures, being restrained. As the crested bird with the blue neck, the peacock, never attains the swiftness of the swan, even so a householder does not equal a bhikkhu, a secluded sage meditating in the wood.